on taxation to raise money to finance a budget. Which budget will be used for making hospitals, the roads that we are talking about, all those kind of things. But we voted 529 members of parliament here, and they are not here. Honorable members, I request whoever is entering inside, please put your check-in. I want you to check in so that the people out there know which people are in this house to legislate for them. Yes, Presidential Affairs.
Thank you so much.
In most of the campaigns I have attended, the chairman of NRM, Mr. Yoweri Tibuhaburwa, has consistently said that NRM MPs are voting machines. He actually said even if they come here and sleep, but wake up and vote. So the procedure issue I'm raising, Madam Speaker, if he did not make you aware that his MPs are for purposes of voting, that when you're at a voting stage, they can pick borders and run here and vote.
To come and do representation, legislation, appropriation in this house. How come for you you're in the house every day? I've never seen you missing in the house.
That's why I must stay here and process before voting. But the chairman
members, sleep with whichever I want the members in the house. Presidential Affairs.
Speaker, you've talked about the broken bridge of Karuma. In the same vein, we have
it is actually cracked bridge.
We have a bridge on River Mayanja that connects Nakaseke to Mitiana. It has already carved in, and vehicles are no longer passing. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I think I should also consider the people of Nakaseke. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Alan?
I pull it, it's not coming. It's long. Madam Speaker, I want to add on what Honorable Ruta Maguzi has just submitted. Madam Speaker, the road he's been talking about is the road coming all the way from Kanoni, Mitiana, Busunju, then to that bridge. It is not only that bridge. The bridge on Muchiragwe is caved in. The bridge on Kokatimba on the same road is not there. Madam Speaker, what is the problem with this road and those bridges? The problem is the heavy traffic coupled with heavy rains. As I'm talking now, I was there on Sunday. All the trucks cannot pass there, and there's no alternative road. Even the alternative roads, the heavy trucks have broken all of them. We talked to UNRA. I wrote to UNRA actually, Madam Speaker. The answer they gave me is that right now, they don't have the culverts to repair those areas. Madam Speaker, you have urged UNRA to expedite working on Karuma. But these roads here also, Madam Speaker, are so important as Karuma, I would say. I would think that UNRA right now should come out and try to repair these roads. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last year, I came here with a document, and the response from the Prime Minister was very clear that they were going to work on the road from Kanoni to Mitiana. Madam Speaker, up to now, there is nothing that is going on. It's on record, and let me tell you one thing, Madam Speaker. Some of us, we are going even to fail accessing our homes. The swamps are full. I cannot access my home from Chitenga. I cannot access my home from Mitiana. And if I cannot access my home as a member of parliament, what of our our voters. Madam Speaker, we need to wake up. We have a lot of challenges as far as roads are concerned. And Madam Speaker, to summarize it, we need a clear statement of how these issues are going to be handled. This business of us coming here and we discuss issues and we leave them here, it looks awkward. On Saturday it rained from Friday through Saturday up to Sunday. Just imagine if it remains the same for the next 2 weeks, what will happen in Uganda? Madam Speaker, we need to wake up and let's get a clear statement from the the minister that is responsible. If possible, even the Prime Minister should come up and revise whatever statement gives us here. Because committing ourselves before our voters and we fail to do what exactly we are supposed to do, it looks very awkward. There is no reason why we should sit here and we discuss on behalf of our people and people are just crying. They just want to write. What should we do? There's a lot of pressure on ground over these swamps.
Thank you. Honorable members.
About Karumba, first I would like to ask government to provide reliable ferry as an alternative from the Masindi port to Congo.
To Congo.
Because the ferry that has been there in the past has not, first of all, it is not reliable and it has very limited carrying capacity. Now with the increase in traffic and especially of the heavy trucks and the passenger vehicles, that ferry right now it's broken, it's not working. But if it is possible, an emergency ferry can be got from somewhere else to come to that place. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, there is something that I think government had underlooked when we were constructing that dam, the new dam at Karumba. There is a reasonable suspicion that should be subjected to studies, that the feasibility study of that dam did not take concern of the impact on the bridge itself. The bridge deteriorated faster than it was thought, and while this was brought to the attention of government in the 10th Parliament, the status of that bridge, no action was took place since then. And these stoppages came very abruptly and it has disorganized the communities across. I know that the impact eventually will be that goods and services will be more expensive to the people. It will limit trade, and I don't know in this already struggling economy how it will affect the people crossing the Nile. So the most feasible solution would be that commitment that the ferry is repaired urgently and another one is added. Where possible, even the time frame, because these ferries operate from 7 to 7. If it is possible, we need the time frame to be the frequency and also the time to be enlarged. Thank you,
Thank you. Honorable
After that, they limited the time. They said that vehicles must pass there only during day. Most of the heavy vehicles normally travel at night. So I really want to think it is going to increase the cost further if vehicles cannot travel within the time that has been, they normally move, because they said from 7 to 7. That implies at night, goods vehicles can't move, the traders can't move, the buses can't move during that night. That's the information I wanted to give.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker.
the ferry, getting another ferry and increasing on what is there and the timing is very, very important, because it will help us for people going to Lango region, even going to Acholi, because you just go, when you reach Congo, you now branch back to the main road and go to Kamdin and continue to Gulu. From Kamdin, you can also go to West Nile. So that would be one of the best solutions, so that you're not limited, because you're interfering with the animals. They are telling you 7 to 7, don't move in the night. It is for your own safety. You're interfering with animal rights. Yes, Honorable Fedra.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
It's what has been said. The issue of the heavy rains It's cutting across, and it is true that those who are not prepared for these rains will suffer the consequence. We may see more serious issues than even the bridges we're talking about. Already, some gardens are being flooded, and there will be a disaster in terms of crop failure in the short term. So we need to prepare.
For the security.
Yes, we need to prepare for these disasters. Madam Speaker, I wish to remind you, last year, the former State Minister for Disaster Preparedness promised this House that, told this House in a report, a statement, that Cabinet was reviewing a disaster plan. Can we know how far the disaster preparedness plan? Because preparing for disaster is more important than responding. It is costly to respond. Now we have to spare money for bridges, for giving people food, for doing everything. Can we plan? Can we know the state in which that disaster plan has reached at the level of cabinet? Is it now ready to be used?
Thank you. The gardens are swept off. We are going to have food.
The forecast is already with us. It has been projected that it is going to rain up to end of June. And now, the preparedness that we want government to come to, that is why we were refusing the money allocated to Mr. Magola. The money that would address the disasters currently now is the preparedness we are looking out for. What we can do now is rainwater harvesting, preparedness in that. Everybody to prepare where to store this water. The other one is desiltation of dams and the rivers. That is the preparedness we want now. All tractors should be seen.
Are you listening, Enos?
Excavators should be seen now to desilt dams and all water channels where all these drainages go, especially around the lake shore. And then the other one is the resilience. Whoever is constructing any road, we have just been given the balance of 500 million on the road fund. Every construction should be cognizant of climate change, and the supervision should be able to show us how what they are constructing is resilient to flooding. Otherwise, we wish all ourselves well. The rains are going to come till end of June.
Thank you. Thank you. In what? Trenches. Trenches. Not even wetland. Trenches. We are building in trenches. How ready are we? If you can build in a trench that even a blind person can see that this is a trench, and you put a house, you put a mall in that trench, how ready are we?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The issue of floods in Uganda, we have spoken.
But I think that we need to come out with a clear recommendation.
Honourable, sorry, I'm Achona Bua.
Right Honourable Speaker, I think that we have discussed, but we need to come out with a clear recommendation to government to take clear actions on the matter. For example, we've talked about the bridge. The issue of a ferry, very critical, but the costs are going to go up. And I think that I've talked to a few business people who do exports to South Sudan. Going through the park and you are charged and it's a longer distance will result into the high cost of doing business. So government should be able to pronounce itself and waive off, for example, those costs so that people are not charged. But secondly, Right Honourable Speaker, the Ministry in charge of roads, really we need answers. We've been talking about disasters, but Right Honourable Speaker, this morning I received a call from one of the airlines that flies into Kisoro. And we appropriated money for that airstrip to be rehabilitated. It's been closed. We are entering into high tourist season. The airport cannot function, airstrip. We do not have timelines for people. Finally, before I take in the information, we've talked about the flooding. Right Honourable Speaker, if you go to the lake shores on Lake Victoria, after it has rained, you will be shocked to see the amount of plastics that come down to the lake So this, I agree with Honorable Christine, the thing we are talking about, but there's an issue of plastics in this country that are blocking the drainage systems, and when you go down to the lakeside, you can really see that we are messing ourselves up, and I think something needs to be done with respect to the aspects of environment. I can take in the information.
Thank you. Have supports that will hold Matoke and Kofi to minimize losses. And secondly, I've observed over the years during heavy rains, lightning is a very serious issue. We need to advise all institutions, especially schools, to have lightning arrest. And those families which can also afford to put lightning arrest. Otherwise, we are going to hear so many cases, and some people will believe that it's witchcraft when it is not. We need to install lightning arrests on important institutions.
Body is going to have a significant impact on the economy. The cost of the goods are going to reduce. The cost of transportation is going to increase. The tourism, people are now not going to go into tourism. So what we are going to get out of tourism will also reduce, and at the end of the day, the productivity is reduced, because if you hear they are saying the gardens and whichever are being washed. And I would also implore government to deploy security on all the alternative routes that have been created, because the highway robbers can take advantage of this. They must be saying now we have them. So you need to make sure you have security on all these alternative routes, and then it is a budgeting time. And since it's a budgeting time, instead of bundling all the monies in one account, let this parliament decide and say this is the money for disaster preparedness, and this money should be used for ABCD, and there should be a plan for disaster preparedness. Leader of Opposition. Honorable members, any Leader of Opposition.
Speaker, as you did say in your communication, climate change is real and it's hitting us hard. When we saw the devastating effects in far-off countries like Dubai, some people thought it's quite far, but now it is right at our doorstep. Torrential downpours have caused devastating effects next door here in Kenya. It's reported that over 200 people have been confirmed dead because of the heavy flooding. About 100 are missing. 170,000 are displaced. And the situation is going to get worse. Here in Uganda, the rains are pounding, and the Met authorities have told us it's only going to get worse, Right Honourable Speaker. As colleagues are sharing, bridges are breaking, roads are caving in, and the situation is going to get a lot more problematic, Right Honourable Speaker. As colleagues are saying that we need to find a separate budget for disaster preparedness, I want to suggest that even before we move in that direction, let's set a proper foundation. Firstly, with the law, and I want to quote the Constitution verbatim, Right Honourable Speaker. Article 249 of our Constitution talks about Disaster Preparedness and Management Commission. I request the Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness to just pay attention to this issue so that she can respond to this House. 1, there shall be a Disaster Preparedness and Management Commission for Uganda to deal with both natural and man-made disasters. That's 249.1. 249.2. Parliament shall, for the purposes of this article, prescribe the composition, functions, and procedure for implementation of the functions of the Commission. Government. Where is the Commission? Because this is the law that we passed. About 2018, I was still in the media, but I was following the happenings here in Parliament. Government was mooting the idea of a disaster management bill, but it did not see the light of day. It didn't come through. Is government still interested in this? Maybe we should bring it as a private member's bill so that we have a proper foundation, we get to plan. Because you see, if you don't plan, and then we give you money, what are you going to put it to use towards? So it's important that we plan. We need this commission in place, because legally it's covered. We need that bill, because it will help us. Right now, we want to deal with the short-term issues, which are important, like the Honorable Kaya was mentioning, desilting, and all of that. That's important, and it is short-term. But we need to deal with the long-term. So that now, in a few months down the road, we are not here again trying to run around to deal with the short-term issues. Can we plan appropriately? Let's have this commission in place. Let the bill be brought, and then we can discuss the idea of giving you money when we know the docket to which exactly it's going, and then we hold you accountable. It's important. We give you money, and then we task you to put that money to very good use.
Lord,
yes, Right Honorable.
Maybe before you continue, you could problem with having that commission in place, because it has come out several times. So we need to understand from government, could there be a problem? Why are we not having a commission in place? It's a constitutional requirement. Honorable Bua, that's a question from law.
Explain to us why not, and then the law should change, because otherwise why should we have redundant articles in our constitution? The reason it was provided for is because the makers of the law then thought it important, and it is important, so that colleagues will stop having these challenges and get to plan properly. Because finally, the water levels of Lake Victoria are going higher every day. I'm sure, Minister, you've taken note of that. So my worry is what's happening in Kenya could very potentially happen here in Uganda. How ready are we? That's important. We need you to point us in that direction, because maybe Kenya did not think it could ever happen, but it has happened, and it could very well happen here in Uganda too. How ready are we to avert such a situation? It's important that government talks to us about this. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you. Can we hear from disaster, then government?
First of all, I would like to note that we do have a disaster risk management plan that was approved in Cabinet in July 2022, and it was launched in September 2022 and presented in this House in November 2022. Right Honorable Speaker, I associate myself with the concerns of members. And as a ministry, we are trying our best to do what we can with the limited resources we have. Right Honorable Speaker, as you may be aware, on the 1st of March 2024, the Uganda National Meteorological Authority released the March to May 2024 seasonal rainfall outlook over Uganda and its implications. The March to May 2024 indicated a high chance of near normal to above normal rainfall, resulting into episodic flash floods, events, and landslides in localized areas that would receive heavy downpours. Right Honorable Speaker, we have already witnessed flooding incidents in districts including Butaleja, Aleptong, Dokolo, Nakapiripirit, Nabelatuk, Bukedia, Bulambuli, whereas landslides were reported in Kasese, Kisoro, Bulambuli, Sironko, Bududa, Munyangabo districts. Some actually claimed lives. We lost 7 people. Recently, Uganda National Meteorological Authority released a 10-day rainfall forecast from 1st to 10th of May 2024, which indicates a continuation of wet conditions over most parts of the country. The heavy to very heavy rainfall events were expected over southwestern in some of the areas in Kigezi and Greater Bushenyi districts. In the northeastern, in districts of Karamoja and Teso sub-regions and neighboring Acholi sub-regions, Other areas expected to receive enhanced rainfalls are in mid-western sub-region in the districts of Masindi, Kiriandongo, Kagadi, Kabarole, and Elgon Islands. The 10-day rainfall forecast by Uganda Meteorological Authority indicates that very heavy rainfall events are expected to cause potential hazards, such as flash floods, debris flows, landslides. In addition, waterlogging, contamination of water sources due to increased surface runoff into such sources, and disruption of traffic flows along transportation routes, as some bridges may be washed away or collapse. An example are the bridges you've already mentioned earlier. Moreover, these heavy rainfalls are expected to damage critical infrastructure like schools.
Yes, police resident.
See, the response the minister is giving, apart from being written, governed under our rules, if you're going to give a statement, is a response to confirm everything that has been said. The questions that have been asked by members require an answer, not just an illustration of how bad things will be. The procedure issue I'm raising, Madam Speaker, is whether if the minister thinks that it's important to give a statement like that, should not be given an opportunity to do so, so that we engage with itself under the rules.
She's actually making a preamble,
which I noted earlier that we do have it. And there are some issues which are raised by the LOB about the issues of having the disaster bill presented. That is underway. We are working on it, and soon we'll be bringing it to the House. On the issues of the lightening that one of the members talked about.
Honorable, is it a bill or the commission?
The commission is the different one. He talked about the disaster bill and then the commission. The commission, from the short time I've been at office, we have not had a discussion, but I'll follow it up as a concern that I picked from the House and discuss with the Office of the Prime Minister, and we'll be able to report back to the House after a discussion. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, as a Minister for Disaster, we are very ready to respond and on time, as you know, Right Honourable Speaker. But we are constrained by the limited...
Thank you very much.
A thorough assessment of ourselves as the executive.
How do you rationalize what is not there?
Maybe I should be a little more clear. I'm saying you are raising the voices at the time a number of government institutions are being rationalized. The undertaking I can make is that we shall bring this to the attention of the powers that be. Most important thing that a study needs to be done on the necessity for this commission.
The framers of this constitution, did they understand why we needed this commission?
I do understand that the framers at the time may have deemed it fit, but it has not been in place for 29 years. So that's why the law is not cast in stone. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to commit that we will come back to this House and report on this matter.
When are you coming back to give us a response?
In 3 weeks' time, Right Honourable Speaker.
3 weeks?
Yes, Right Honourable.
No, I want to give you 1 week.
Okay, I will take that, Right Honourable Speaker.
Because in the 3 weeks we shall be in the next session. Yes.
2018, we had tasked ourselves to establish the Climate Change Act, the Wetlands Act, and the Disaster Management Act. But the two stalled And we anticipated that in the Disaster Management Act, that is where we would put the commission. And now that the bill stalled, it may be difficult for us. We are just beginning to chop small things. When you talk of the plan and then talk of the commission, it means we are killing the other efforts of establishing the Disaster Management Act, Right Honorable Speaker. So I pray that my minister first tracks the establishment, because I have even established the principles of the bill, and that is where we shall now be putting the urgent issues.
Thank you. Can you?
We only need support from this House in terms of funding. If I am to respond to the issues of disasters in this country, we need a budget. We can't do anything as a ministry if we don't have the budget. So far, I have requests from members, over 30 from 30 districts, and we are not able to do much. Right Honorable Speaker, I would request this House to support the ministry with the relevant funding. Then we'll be able to respond. I'll physically be in their constituencies to address the issues.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me give information.
And we need to provide money for that. But